All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
And welcome, everybody, back to another edition of A Hardball Live here on the All Sports, All Plays Network. My name is Rich Daniels. Joining me tonight, my partner, Joe Traub, and we are rocking with the season, already rolling for Major League Baseball. Took last weekend off. You know, you had a little holiday kind of thing going. That's okay. But we're back for you this week, and we got some great stuff to talk about. We got some super rookies we're going to be talking about here in a little while. Also some, things going around baseball, things that are happening now. We're going to be covering those for you. But first off, we are going to get started this week with the week's big event. Joe, the first no-hitter in the history of the San Diego Padres, man.
And how sweet it is, just the circumstances all leading up to it. You couldn't have asked any better for Joe Musgrove. I mean, he's a San Diego kid, the San Diego native. He wanted to play for the Padres. I know he was ecstatic when he got traded there this past offseason. And boy, yeah, his first start, it was pretty good against the Diamondbacks as well. He shut them out over 6 innings. But, man, he just hit another level at Globe Life Field there in Arlington a couple nights ago. Only he was basically on from the start. Now, I didn't watch the first 4 innings, but I saw in the 5th that something special was going on. And I was like, yeah, you never know. I mean, this guy's dealing. He's locked in. You never really can feel it that something special's happened until about the 7th or 8th inning. But I was just happy I got to watch those last 5 innings because Musgrove was some kind of locked in all night. I mean, he only even hit one batter, didn't walk a guy. There were no errors committed behind him, just barely got Joey Gallo, I think, in the 3rd or 4th inning. But, it was just really special and really great for those Padres fans. It's been nothing but hype all off season. And to get that done in the first week of the season, I just think it's pretty spectacular for Musgrove. And here's
go ahead.
Musgrove, I mean, he's no stranger to the big stage. I mean, I think a lot of people forget this guy's pitched in the World Series before. He was on that 2017 Astros team, and he actually came out of the bullpen in some big spots that year. So he has a ring from that year, so he's no stranger, and he kind of took the spotlight and ran with it on Friday in Texas.
Yeah, everybody the buzz starts now with social media when you get to a guy who gets out of the 6th inning with a no-hitter, and then everybody just kind of crowds to it. That's when I found out about it. I messaged a few of my friends, say, hey, man, Musgrove's got a no-no going. And, he has just been unbelievable in his first 2 starts. Okay, this guy has a whip, right? A whip that looks like, somebody's weight. I mean, usually it's an ERA that's that low, but you're talking a whip of 0.2. All right, 0.2 base runners. He's had 3 base runners in the 15 innings that he's pitched. Okay, 3. He's given up 3 hits in his first game with no walks, no hits, no walks in the last game. He has just been lights out. So, I mean, you talk about a guy who he's headed for free agency in a couple of years as well. So, granted, he's where he wants to be, and San Diego is now spending the money to keep these guys. So, he might be the one that goes in because Yu Darvish's contract is going to be up in a couple of years. He might be the guy that comes in, they spend the money on and really just keep the ball rolling with him. It was really impressive, and he's been a guy that's had to go through some tough seasons with some injuries in Pittsburgh. And to see him really rise to the top the other night was just a great thing for baseball.
It was the 8,206th game, yes, 8,206 in Padres history. And they finally got it done. I mean, this is a franchise that's been around since 1969. It's not like the Marlins or Rays, a team that was an expansion team in the last 30 years. I mean, the Padres have been around forever. And, it's it's just remarkable that they went that long without a no-hitter. But to see them get it in the first week of a season, coming off of a pandemic-shortened campaign where guys' workloads are going to be managed a lot more this April than they would in most Aprils because it was such a strange season last year, and these guys are still getting back into game shape. But it just showed the trust that Jace Tingler and the coaching staff, had in Musgrove, and he kept going out there. And there's always a moment or two in a no-hitter when you feel like, okay, there's going to be a big-time defensive play, or, oof, that ball was hit hard. That was a close one. And it was actually at the very end of the game, came on back-to-back batters that Musgrove faced. Well, in bottom of the eighth, Jose Trevino line to right. I totally thought that was a base hit off the bat. Like I said, I was watching the game, thought that was going to get down and break it up in the eighth inning. But Will Myers right there in his tracks. He made the catch, let the fans breathe a little bit easier. Then in the bottom of the ninth inning, it was David Dahl. He led off. He pinch hitting for Eli White. And Dahl hit a rope. I mean, I thought that ball was into center field for a base hit for sure, and it was going to be heartbreak from Musgrove and the Padres. But no, I mean, there was Jake Cronenworth. He made the catch seemingly easily, and that's when you get that feeling, when you get that first guy in the ninth. Because then Leody Taveras hit a little grounder back to Musgrove Musgrove fielded it halfway between home plate and the first base line. Taveras was going to be out no matter what. Either Musgrove was going to tag him or he was going to run out of the baseline. So he tagged him, and then Isaiah Kiner Falefa, he has a good bat. I think you mentioned to me, Rich, that he's going to be tough to strike out. So he puts the ball in play to the shortstop, and that's Haesung Kim playing there now with the injury to Fernando Tatis Jr. And Kim made a few good plays during the game. Nothing like outstanding or out of the ordinary, but these were some sharply hit balls that pressure spot. It's a no-hitter. You got to make the play on, and he did. So credit to Kim as well. His first year with the team, coming in a spot that he didn't expect to be the starting shortstop at the end of the first week of the season, but he was, and he made the throw that's going to live on really forever in the minds of Padres fans at the time that they finally got this moment that every other team in Major League Baseball has.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you talk about great defensive plays that save no-hitters. I immediately, in my mind, go back to Derek Wise in center field for the Chicago White Sox, going up and over the center field fence to catch to rob a home run and preserve a no-hitter for Mark Burley. And that was a good number of years ago, but still, that to me is the outstanding defensive play to preserve a no-hitter of all time. So, there's all kinds of those kind of plays, though. Any come to your mind?
Yeah, Gregor Blanco, actually. Matt Cain threw a perfect game. I think it was 2012 or 13, but this is at AT&T Park, where that's Triple's alley out in right center, and something gets by, and that's going all the way to the wall. Blanco goes all out, full extension, dives, and makes the catch midair. That was just pretty phenomenal. I'm sure there's others I'm missing as well. Just great catches, great infield plays. There's always one, because look at it this way. If you're going to get 27 outs and throw a no-hitter, there's a chance there's going to be at least one or two close calls. They're not all going to be easy outs. We say it all the time. There's no such thing as routine easy outs in baseball. And I think that shows during a no-hitter. Guys are going to be tested. Fielders are going to have to make plays. And, Myers and Kim, they're just in the right position there. Cronenworth to make plays. And it doesn't always have to be fantastic. But bottom line is, when there's something on the line like that, you need to make the play. And all of them did.
And I'll tell you, if anybody viewing in tonight live has one of those great defensive plays to preserve a no-hitter, let us know in the comments section right here on the All Sports All Plays Network, and we're going to we'll talk about those, because we'll probably sit here and go, oh yeah, that one, and all that kind of stuff. But it's fantastic. And Joe, I gotta compliment you on your hat tonight.
Oh, thank you.
The camo Isotopes hat. You gotta love
Definitely.
that.
I'm excited for the minor league season too. Normally the minor league season would have started back on Thursday. In normal years, it was normally the major league season started one Thursday, and then everything else got going underway the next Thursday. But a little bit different this year, still kind of wiring things out. But minor league baseball will be back in May, and I'm so excited for it too. It's going to be nonstop baseball
that far
for
away.
6 months.
That's a couple of weeks away, my friend.
Yep.
We're very, very close.
We've almost reached it. 20 months. It's going to be a 20-month off season, but I think it's safe to say that we're all excited to have it back.
All right. So we were talking no-hitters, right? So now we're going to, be the Swami, and we're going to figure out who we think is going to throw the next no-hitter in Major League Baseball. So why don't you start? We both picked two guys. Why don't you start with your man? Who do you think is going to throw the next no-hitter?
So I feel like I'm cheating a little bit with this one, but I'm going to go ahead and do it because He threw one about 7 months ago, and I haven't thrown another one this year. That's Lucas Giolito, because he showed what he could do on that August night against the Pirates last year. I mean, not to take anything away, but the Pirates definitely one of the weaker hitting lineups in baseball. But I think he's going to be motivated and come out and do it against maybe a better lineup this year. I just get that feel. Giolito's got that magic touch. He's got his old high school pitching coach working with him in Chicago again. He's been okay to start this year, but it's bound to happen, I just think, for him. Who do you have for your first choice to throw the first no-hitter this year?
Well, I am going to the state of Florida, and the guy I'm picking is a guy who is absolutely red hot in his first two starts and looks to be going the same direction. That's Tyler Glasnow for the Tampa Bay Rays. He hasn't won any games yet. He hasn't gotten a decision. He's thrown 2 starts in 12 innings, but just 7 base runners, five hits given up, and 2 walks. And he struck out 15 in his first 12 innings. And this guy, he's popping the mitt at 100 miles an hour, and he's doing that in the 5th inning. The other night, he threw 4 pitches consecutively in the 5th inning that were faster than the 4 best pitches he had in the 1st inning. So this is not one of those guys who's going to be facing the lineup once or twice through and then being pulled. He is bringing it. It's early in the season, so they're not letting him go deep in games yet. But, man, we get into June, July, and August, and he's throwing 7, maybe 8 innings in a game. And look out for him to be able to get on a roll with that electric stuff that he's got. So Tyler Glasnow is my first pick, the ace of the Tampa Bay Rays. So your second pick for no-hitter candidate the rest of the year. What do you think?
So thinking outside the box here a little bit, but watched some highlights on Quick Pitch last night, and this guy carved up the Angels, and I really think he has what it takes, and that's Steven Matz. Because Matz, he was a good prospect when he was coming up through the Mets organization. Got to see him a couple times for Las Vegas myself. Believe you did too. And he kind of joined the Mets rotation, became an under the radar guy at the back end of that rotation. But now it feels like he has a new opportunity in Toronto or Dunedin or Trenton or wherever, they end up playing most of their games for the 2021 season. But he's a Blue Jay, we'll say that. And he's looked good his first 2 starts, thrown 12 1/3 innings so far, just 7 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, and 13 strikeouts. He struck out 9 Rangers in 6 1/3 back on Monday. I just think this guy, there's always seemingly a couple guys a year that end up throwing a no-hitter that, wow, you didn't really think of that guy as one that could do it, such as, I don't know, Chris Heston, Edison Volquez. I'm Mike Fiers. He's thrown 2. I just think Matz fits that mold, and yeah, why not? He's my second pick to throw a no-no this year.
Well, that's a bit of a dark horse, but when you go back to when the Mets had that super rotation of young guys, with Matt Harvey and Wheeler and all the other guys that were in the Syndergaard, who were all part of that. There were a lot of people that were saying the guy with the best stuff in that whole group was Steven Matz. And because of injuries and inconsistency and whatever it was, he was just never be able to one to put it together. And now he's got a fresh start where he knows he's going to start, every regular turn in Toronto. He's not going to have that pressure on him, and they're really counting on him. And he looks free and easy. He's pitching better than I've ever seen him throw, and better since I've seen him throw when he was with Vegas. So look out for that guy. I think it's a good pick. It may not be one that everybody else is thinking of right off the top of their heads, but when you really get into it, that guy's going to be pretty tough to touch.
Yeah, it just has the feel of one of those unexpected things, but you got to expect a couple of those things to happen during a full baseball season.
Absolutely. Now, the guy I got for my second pick is not exactly, like Mike Warren for the Oakland A's, who's an unknown rookie, goes out and throws a no-hitter or something like that. But this guy is a young rookie pitcher, and he is going to be the next best thing, I think, when it comes to pitching in the National League at least. And that's Trevor Rogers from the Florida Marlins. I got Florida on my mind this week, I think. That's probably what it is. But here's a guy, I got to see him pitch a lot when he was pitching high school ball here in the state of New Mexico when he was pitching for Carlsbad High School. He pitched in the state championship game and was absolutely wicked. This guy's, if you haven't seen him throw yet, he's got one of the best wipeout sliders I've ever seen. And he had that in high school too. So now he's bigger, he's stronger, he's bigger, he's better, and he's well on his way to 200 strikeouts for this his rookie season. Next year, look for him to be mid 250s with strikeouts. It's always a guy who can go out and really miss a lot of bats in the case of a game or the course of a no hitter that has a really good chance to finish one. And I think this guy, he's going to have all kinds of opportunities his whole career because he's only 25, 26 now. Let me see here. I'll look it up. I'll have it. Yeah. Oh no, not even that. He's 23 years old, and he's a pretty new 23 too. He's not even a half year into it. So Trevor Rogers is my dude to be able to go out and throw the next no hitter as well because he's young enough not to even feel the pressure if he's got one going.
Yeah, I'm excited for this guy. I mean, I had left New Mexico before he kind of became known on the scene as even a guy who's like, from here and could have big things going for him. But I'm excited for the guy. It was fun to watch highlights yesterday. He outdueled Jacob deGrom, and deGrom pitched an amazing game yesterday, but still lost 1-0. I mean, that seems to happen all the time to him, unfortunately. But on the case of Rogers, yeah, I mean, he gets the ball and he runs with it. He doesn't feel the pressure. And I think that's the second time he's beaten deGrom in a start at Citi Field already. And he only made his debut last August. So that's pretty darn good. Not a bad start at all. And
he's a guy that there's no shock whatsoever when he ends up with double-digit strikeouts in 6 innings. I mean, he just rushes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all right. So got a hot rookie there. They're to end out our picks to see who's going to throw the next no-hitter, which takes us into another segment that we wanted to do. And we are talking about the rookies that are just off to blazing starts in Major League Baseball. And, the one guy that you picked to start things off, the first name that came to your mind was probably the first name in every Major League Baseball fan's mind as far as a hot rookie to get started. So why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I mean, Yermin Mercedes, what a start to his season. Pretty remarkable. And he's had an interesting career path because this guy's 28 years old. He did make his debut last year, but the whole eligibility, whatever you want to call it for rookie, it's just going to be off because of that 60-game season last year. It is what it is. But no, Mercedes originally started out in the Nationals organization and was released after a few years. The best part is he actually ended up going to the independent leagues and played in the Pecos League, including a team that's located right here in New Mexico in White Sands. So that was 2014. So barely hanging on, just looking for any hope to play any kind of baseball whatsoever. And he did well enough that the Orioles took notice, spent a few years in the minor leagues with them. It was Rule 5, picked up by the White Sox in the minor league portion, and still had some climbing up to do throughout their system. Came up last year. He did okay. It was really nothing, too special, nothing too eye-opening. But this year, what a start. He got on the opening day roster. In that first week, or the first series against the Angels, he went 9 for 14. That's a 643 average and had 6 RBI, including he went 8 for his first 8. I think that's the first time anybody ever has gone 8 for their first 8 to begin a season. And, this guy's mostly a DH. He's listed as a catcher, but I think he'll just mostly be at the DH position. I guess you can say he's somewhat cooled off, but not really. If he's still 15 for 28 playing in 7 games to start the season. Has a couple of home runs. That's a 536 batting average. I don't really put a lot of stock in batting averages until about May or so, but this guy's lighting it up. He did great, and he even drew 3 walks today against Kansas City, so showing his plate discipline as well. And, I mean, this White Sox lineup is pretty loaded as far as it gets, and I don't think many people were considering Mercedes or even a guy like Andrew Vaughn to be contributors, but here they are, and Mercedes is ready to rumble. I don't know about you, but I always find it to be even better story when it's a 28-year-old rookie or a guy who's a late bloomer comes up and just crushes it, and everyone takes notice.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's a great story for him to come in, a great story of perseverance. You mentioned the Pecos League. I'm telling you right now, anybody who doesn't know anything about minor league baseball or anything like that, you need to check out the Pecos League because it is the wild, wild west of baseball. And anything goes. You get some really wild games, and these guys are playing for next to nothing when it comes down to it in the Pecos League. And it's really, it's what minor league baseball used to be back in the day everywhere. And now you get it there, and it's this independent, minor league that's out there. And man, it's so much fun. But you see Yerman Mercedes come in there, and Vaughn come in there, and all throughout spring training, you could hear you listen to White Sox fans going, "Man, we need another bat. We need another bat. Nelson Cruz is out there. We should sign Nelson Cruz. We need another bat." And then the season starts, and Yerman Mercedes and Andrew Vaughn, are just crushing the ball left and right. Literally left and right. And I haven't heard from those people. Nobody's talking about it getting another bat for the White Sox.
I don't think they will.
These two young guys are jumping in and crushing the ball and doing exactly what they needed them to do. So, my hat's off to the White Sox people who knew what they had on their hands. Looking at those two guys.
Yeah, I just think it's fun. I was watching the White Sox. What game was it? It was that Sunday Night Baseball game, that crazy game they had against the Angels last Sunday. Back and forth, and Mercedes didn't do anything spectacular, but it's just fun watching the White Sox because it's been a long time since they were really relevant, and they're going to be in that spot a lot this year. Primetime games, Sunday night, Monday Night Baseball, whatever's on ESPN, MLB Network, or they'd be shown a lot more. And I think they have what it takes to make a long run. I know you do too, and it's just fun to see some of these teams that haven't been around in a while finally get back to that prominent stage and really try and set the world on fire.
Yeah, like I say, I'm going to show my age now, and this, Joe, this is another reference to before your time. But the White Sox today, this White Sox team reminds me of the old, early '80s versions of the Milwaukee Brewers with Gorman Thomas and Cecil Cooper and Robin Yount and Paul Molitor and that Ben Ogilvy and all that whole bunch. Man, they were just crushing the ball left and right. Ted Simmons got in on those teams. It was really, really cool to watch those guys because it was like, you would get beer league softball, scores, from those guys. And the White Sox are fully capable of putting 10 runs on the board every night. So if you're a fan of offense in baseball, you don't think there's enough offense in baseball anymore, watch the White Sox because they don't take a lot of pitches.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Hey, Rich, sorry to interrupt really quick, but I remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about Drew Smyly, and you could have had doubts about whether he would get it done for the Braves. Well, he just left a hanging curve to Didi Gregorius, and he crushed it for a 3-run bomb and an 0-2 pitch in the fourth inning.
Oh, wow. I don't wish
anyone a bat flip.
I don't wish anyone any ill when it comes down to it. Anything like that. I always wish them the best of luck when they go out there, but I enjoy being right, even for a moment. So that's good. But
and he's facing a tough lineup too.
Yeah, we are going into, and we're talking about super rookies, not necessarily rookies, but young players that are really off to great starts. A lot of them are rookies. You started off with Yerman Mercedes. Of course, that's where we're going to go with that. My guy, now the first guy that I thought of that's really crushing it early on this year is a guy who got a new start, and he was log jammed in Tampa, and now he's in Texas, and that's Nate Lowe, the first baseman. When we first started talking, I messed up and called him Nick Lowe, the guy who did, like Hot Child in the City in the 1970s or whatever it was. But Nate Lowe for the Texas Rangers, he's leading baseball in RBIs to begin the year, 14. All right, he's got 3 homers. The guy is slugging, 563 right now. He's 8 for 32, only a 250 batting average, but everything he hits is going a long, long way. And this is a guy who I thought was going to be stuck in Tampa for 6 years, when all of his team control got worn out and everything, and they ended up, and Tampa being Tampa, they've got a guy who's, prime property. They end up trading him to somebody, and I think they got 4 prospects for him, and just keep that pipeline of talent going in Tampa. But, Tampa's loss is Texas's gain. They've been trying to get Guzman going at first base there, and he hasn't really perked up. And getting Nate Lowe in there has been a breath of fresh air, and he's been crushing the ball from the left side for the Rangers.
Yeah, it's good to see. I watched that game last week. Yeah, I think it was a couple of 3-run home runs he hit in consecutive at-bats, and the time he had 14 RBI in the season in like 6 games. Yeah, it's always good to see a guy get a fresh start. Tampa Bay does have a lot of guys who can play a lot of positions, so maybe freeing up that spot and giving them to a Texas team who definitely needs bats in their lineup, I think it's a good thing for Lowe. And
plus, he's a young guy. He's not even 26 yet. And, a Texas team that's looking to rebuild with young guys, he's perfect in there. He's got a few years of team control left, and he definitely fits their window to get back into contention and be one of the leaders, one of the middle-of-the-order guys for them.
Yeah, and it's been, a rough start to the season for the Rangers. We talked about what happened with the Musgrove no-hitter, and they ended up getting swept by the Padres this weekend, unless they play another game tomorrow. I don't think they do, but they've lost 3 in a row to San Diego. But hey, if you can have any bright spots, like we talked about, Ke'Bryan Hayes for the Pirates, anything that's going to keep the fans interested while you're going through a rebuild, that's good. It'll just kind of keep people around. And then when you're ready to compete in a couple of years, hopefully a guy like him will still be around.
Yep. Speaking of another team in a rebuild, you had another guy that you wanted to talk about, and a young man up in Detroit who's really, 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 electrifying some people up there.
The legend of Baddoo. That's right, Akil Baddoo. Now, I got to say, I'm still a little fuzzy on him because I didn't know. I hadn't even heard of the guy until a week ago when he made rounds on social media. He hit the first pitch he ever saw in the major leagues, opposite field for a home run. Then you see his family in the stands. I believe most of his family's from Ghana. Then they were able to come to Detroit and see his major league debut. Then he hit another one the next day. Then he hit he had a walk-off base hit in the following game. And yeah, a lot of people didn't know about this guy, but he's off to a nice 5 for 16 start. And that might sound unspectacular, but he's driven in 7 runs, a couple home runs. I think anytime you hit a home run on the first pitch you see in the major leagues, that's big. That's really big. But
yeah, and when you think about it, he's a Rule 5 draft guy.
From the Twins, that's right.
Yeah, which means he had to get – he was not on a 40-man roster, and he got picked. And Detroit has to keep him throughout the entire season, or they got to offer him back. And
right.
The amazing thing about that is that you don't see too many Rule 5 guys that end up even making any kind of impact throughout the year. Maybe they get a big pinch hit or something, or and it's hidden in the 162 game season. But when you get a young guy like this who is just zoned in to begin the season, and he knew he had to make the team in order to be able to go out to stay in the major leagues, because otherwise he was going back to Double-A ball probably, and that's a big deal because he had only played A ball, right?
Yeah, he had in the Twins organization, and really, I mean, a guy 22 years old, that's a lot of pressure being Rule 5 like that and knowing that you have to stick. But he doesn't seem to let it get to him right now. He's like, hey, you know what? We're out there, we're playing baseball. This is what he's done his whole life, even though he's still pretty young. So I think it would be great to see him stick. Again, we talked about guys that are on teams that are in rebuilds, not really going anywhere. So yeah, I think it's good. It keeps the fans interested, keeps the team invested, if they're about to get out of it. But I'm excited to see what he can do. And he started in left field, can play a little first base, probably some DH. But no, it's good. I do have a little trivia. I mean, I doubt anyone is going to get this because it's really tough. But before Baddoo, the last player to hit a home run on the first pitch they saw in the major leagues, and I'll give a hint, it was 2015 when it happened.
You got me. I can't remember.
I wouldn't have guessed it. But it's Eddie Rosario for the Twins.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did it May 6, 2015. There have only been 16 guys to ever do it in baseball. Baddoo became the 16th last week.
Wow, okay. Not bad. Not bad at all. In Detroit, they just had Miguel Cabrera go down.
Yeah, so I saw that just now.
Yeah. So there's going to be some at bats that are going to be spread around a little bit more.
That's right.
Even though they brought up Renato Nunez, you got to think Baddoo's going to get a chance to go out and at least be in the lineup. I mean, because this may take Rowdy Grossman from left field to DH sometimes. Because Baddoo's got superior range and a really good arm. So yeah, you might see him a little bit more out there than you usually would, and the enthusiasm, what you see from a guy like him who knows the opportunity that he's got. He's going from the $600 a month leagues to major league minimum, and it's such a huge deal for him. You got to love the enthusiasm. You got to love the grateful attitude that young fella has, man. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah, it's making the game of baseball fun when we all need it. So I'm on the Akil Baddoo train for as long as it lasts.
All right, moving on here. I got another guy. I didn't necessarily pick rookies all the time, but a guy you and I have seen a little bit, and he was entertaining to watch in the minor leagues, and now he has been able to move on to the major leagues and is mashing the ball again. And that's Ty France, infielder designated hitter for the Seattle Mariners. And, I referred back to that. You and I both worked in minor league baseball. We saw him when he was with El Paso in the Padres organization in 2019. And what a year this guy had. Just under 300 at-bats, 296 at-bats, okay? He had a full year's production, 27 homers, 89 ribbies, okay? The guy batting average, 399 and almost 300 at-bats. He had a 1247 OPS in AAA that year. And then he was a part of that deal that, he got to go up to Seattle with a bunch of guys and got in the mix up there. Did pretty well last year, hitting 300 and, just 86 at-bats. But he's off to a great start, batting 290, 389 on base, 841 total OPS. It looks like he's going to be pretty much a DH and a fill-in infielder until the end of the year. That's when Seager's contract is up, and they're probably going to put him at third base for a long, long time in Seattle.
Yeah, and he's been a good guy, too, can be kind of versatile, play a few spots around the infield, maybe even a little outfield. Now, I have gotten to watch a couple of the Mariners games. Usually I like to tune into those late-night games that are still going on at 11 p.m. Mountain Time. It's just fun. Anything can happen. Always seems like things are a little wilder on the West Coast for whatever reason, and Mariners have walked off a couple times already, and, yeah, France has been around in the couple of those rallies. He's not really a household name yet, but I don't see any reason why he can't become one. The Mariners are looking for guys who want to play baseball the right way and can be in multiple spots, and he seems to fit that bill too.
Yeah, and he's a right-handed hitter with power. He came up. I mean, he came through the Padres system as a second baseman, and everybody was just kind of going like, "Yeah, second base," because he's not your run-of-the-mill middle infielder defensively. He's one of those. We used to call him, have two-step range, one to the left and one to the right. That's the way he was. But third base is much more suitable to him. He's playing some first base as well. But look for the bat. He's always going to have the major league bat. And Ty France is going to be a guy who's going to be around the American League for a while now. So everybody needs to get used to him and enjoy that guy, because I think he may even have an all-star appearance or two in his future.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Next is a guy you really love, a man who came up and actually did the job today for the Dodgers. Talk about Zach McKinstry.
Yeah, McKinstry. He's a guy. Now, look, like the Dodgers the last few years, they've had a bunch of guys who have come in and they haven't really been well known around the baseball world, but they simply, again, play baseball the right way, get the job done, and they become stars there. The two perfect examples, you look at Chris Taylor and Max Muncy, guys who have been in other organizations, decent prospects, but the Mariners and A's, respectively, moved on from those two, and they ended up in L.A. in the starting lineup every day, mashing home runs, playing multiple positions, and being huge runs on the way ultimately to the World Series championship last year with a lot of playoff success mixed in. And Zach McKinstry, a guy who was drafted by the Dodgers 5 years ago, worked his way up, had some good numbers in the minor leagues. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see him when I was working for their advanced rookie club, which at the time when they had advanced rookie ball in the minor leagues, it was in Ogden. But McKinstry skipped us, went to low A, and I think it was deserved based on the numbers he put up in the minor leagues. Kept hitting, kept playing well at any spot you put him, and had a little cameo last year, struggled, but I can't know if you can even really say struggled because he only played a few games, and it was such a weird year with a no minor league season. But this year there was a spot to open up thanks to the departure of Kike Hernandez to the Red Sox. They wanted McKinstry to kind of fill that utility role, play some outfield, play some second base, and he's doing great so far. I think he's already played 3 positions already. He played left today. He played right a couple days ago, and he's played second base too. But yeah, just today he had an RBI double in the second, a 2-run homer in the 7th that really helped ice the game. They ended up winning 3-0. 9 for his first 28. That's a 321 batting average. There's a couple walks, couple home runs, including today. Actually, his first home run, his career, was an inside the park home run in Colorado last weekend. So that was kind of neat. It's going to be trivia forever for him in his career. His first home run did not leave the ballpark. But yeah, this guy's hard-nosed. He seems like he's going to go out there and play hard every single night. And if he plays the way he has the first week and a half of this year, I think he's going to stick, because the Dodgers always want these guys they can plug into. They preach versatility. They preach it in the minor leagues. They preach it drafting. They preach it in the major leagues. And I don't see that changing. So McKinstry, I think he's going to stick this year.
Yeah, and when you look at it, they were talking about him possibly being log jammed behind Gavin Lux, who is their top prospect second baseman. And McKinstry just comes in and says, "Oh, whatever, wherever you need me."
Yeah,
He's one of those. He's one of those guys that came in with the attitude of, "Hey, you want me to go get water for you? I'll get water for you. I'll do
for
whatever I
sure.
need to do to help this ball club." And I mean, he's fitting right in. That's exactly the attitude you got to have as a young player coming in with a team that has been to the World Series so many times in the last few years. The Dodgers are the defending World Series champions now. If you want to be a young player and crack that roster and stay in the big leagues, you got to do what it takes, and that's what the young man is doing. So he's very impressive.
And it's been neat to see this weekend because obviously, Mookie Betts, he's a star in LA now. He's their leadoff man and right fielder, but back stiffness, he was unable to go at all against the Nationals this weekend. So McKinstry takes his spot on opening day. He's starting in right field where Mookie's going to be, but the fans seem to embrace him. They know he's another good up-and-comer, and today he played left field. Edwin Rios played right, so not bad for his first weekend at home in a Dodger uniform, especially really almost on the offensive side, single-handedly carrying to a victory today with Clayton Kershaw doing all the other work on the mound.
Yep, and moving on now, we've talked about a lot of hitters, going in, for these super rookies and things like that. But I'm going to go to a pitcher on my next one, and this is a young fella, again, a Rule 5 guy who's jumping in there and doing the job for the Boston Red Sox, and that's Garrett Whitlock. And he's pitching out of the bullpen. He's traditionally a starter, all right, but he's coming out of the bullpen now, and I'm telling you, this young fella, his first 2 appearances in just over 5 1/3, he's lighting it up. 8 strikeouts, 0 walks, only 3 hits given up. And he's been a breath of fresh air for the Red Sox so far. And again, a Rule 5 guy who you don't really think is going to have to come in and produce, but it seems like they're going to pick their spots with him and get him in there and use him for multiple innings. And the ultimate, I think, insult is that they picked him out of the New York Yankees system.
Yeah, I admit he's not one I know very much about, but we were just talking about him before we came on the air today, and that's pretty good numbers through 2 games so far. He had a 3-inning stint where he struck out a bunch of guys. Look, the Red Sox are strapped for pitching right now. There's no secret about it. It's looking to be another pretty long year in Beantown, so anyone that can come up and make a positive impact, because I've noticed a trend with the Red Sox ever since 2004 when they broke that drought. They win the World Series, they slump for a couple of years, they get back and they win it again. They did it in 07, they won in 13, and they won in 18. I mean, that trend could continue, and I don't really want to call it a rebuild because it's not a philosophy I disagree with. They win, they have a few down years, almost like a letdown, but then you come back and you win again. So I think that's good, and anyone who can if they can kind of see the future, like maybe they're going to make another run in 23 or 24, yeah, why not a guy like, this up-and-coming fireballer seemingly in their bullpen.
Yeah, and the great thing I think is that they're starting to think a little more versatility with him. He is a Rule 5 kid, but he is a guy who's used to throwing a decent amount of innings in a game. So there's some talk that they may use an opener and have him come in after an opener. So you have the opener come in and throw to the top of the order, the first 3 or 4 guys, and then you bring him in. He pitches to the back half of the lineup, and then maybe he goes through the top half of the lineup once, and he's got a better shot to get him out the first time, and then possibly a second time to go through there. So if you have an opener come in and throw, and then he comes in and throws 4 innings, guess who's pitching in the 5th inning? And if at that point, if your pitching has been good, you probably have a lead. So you got a young guy who's going to be able to roll up some wins if they start to use him in that capacity, a la Yarbrough from Tampa, who's done the same thing very effectively for the Rays. So look for that possibility with Whitlock coming up here real soon. So, Jody, you got anybody else?
Well, I don't know about getting this guy to the super rookie, but I just thought it was a great moment today. I was out walking and listening to some baseball, and Brent Honeywell finally made his major league debut. I don't want to say major league, finally got back onto the mound in a competitive game. It had been 1,300 days since he appeared for the Durham Bulls when they defeated Memphis in the 2017 AAA National Championship game. Honeywell looked to be on the fast track to the majors then. Thought he was going to make it in 2018, but all kinds of injuries. Had Tommy John surgery, had a couple other arm problems, elbow problems. He's basically been through it all, and spring training this year, finally got back on the mound, looked good. The Rangers had a need when Chris Archer went down, a spot in the rotation opened up, and yeah, they went ahead and inserted this kid who's just, I think, going to be a great story, and Honeywell. And they wanted to keep him on a limited pitch count. It's his debut. He's coming off all these injuries, but threw 2 perfect innings and shut down the Yankees. He even struck out Giancarlo Stanton and Gleyber Torres back to back. So just walking around listening to that put a smile on my face, because I'm like, okay, we need all the positive vibes we can get in baseball right now, all the good stories. And Honeywell, look, I'm excited to see what this guy can do the rest of the year, because missing really 3 years of competitive baseball, that's not easy. And that can lead you to questioning. I'm not saying it did for him, but for other guys, myself, it probably would have been, okay, what else is out there in the world? What else is available? Because 3 years is a long time and can't keep waiting back. But I admire him for his perseverance and how he was able to get through it. And Brent Honeywell, I hope he gets another start maybe next weekend. I don't know if it's going to be a one and done call up for him. Have to see how the Rays rotation shakes out, but I think I'm going to be watching next time he's on the mound.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Archer's going to be back anytime soon.
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, he's in trouble. So you might be able to see Honeywell. And again, here's another guy that has to be the one. One of the guys you can ask if the air in Major League Baseball smells any sweeter to him than anywhere else, because this is a guy who he had his own doubts. He'll tell you. He said that in interviews, and he'll tell it plain. He had his own doubts as to whether he could come back, not only to just, pitch again, but to be as effective as he once was, because he was unhittable in the minor leagues. I mean, for a long while, he was just absolutely tough. So, kudos to that kid. I love that kid's perseverance. And, he's in with the right team. He's in with a team that's going to use him at the most opportune times for him and make him most effective. So, Brent Honeywell, I agree. That's a super rookie in the making. He should have been a super rookie 3 years ago, but he's persevered and gotten through.
I was joking with you over Messenger. I was like, hey, Honeywell's going to throw a no-hitter in his debut, and we can talk about it. I mean, he didn't know a base run. I didn't know he was going to be on a strict pitch count. I thought maybe he might throw 5 innings, but 2 perfect innings against the Yankees, that's not bad when you consider the masters those guys have, and they were all playing today.
That's for sure, man. And it's so good, looking good there. I've got one more guy. And again, he's not a rookie per se because he's exceeded all the official limits, but he's a player very young in his career, and he's had to make a career switch, a big move in his career to be able to get to the point. And that's Cedric Mullins, outfielder for the Baltimore Orioles. And you talk about a team that needs bright spots, that's the Orioles. Well, Cedric Mullins for the last couple of years was trying to switch into being a switch hitter. And to go and his bat from the right side just was not making it. So the decision was made. I don't know whether it was him, whether it was a coaching staff, whether it was a mutual decision or something like that. They just sent him back to his typical left-handed hitting natural style. And the dividends have been huge. 15 for 33 to start off the year in his first 8 games. This guy's popped a homer. He's not traditionally a home run hitter. What he does do is steal bases, and he's stolen a couple of bases already. And it's just good to see, because he had a really nice cup of coffee a couple of years ago and then didn't quite make it, from that point on. They weren't sure whether he was going to be able to go in there, whether he was just like a quad A type of guy or not. And he's really started off this year good, and he looks to be in the outfield mix for a long, long time for the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I've always liked him. I've always thought he plays hard. Haven't really gotten to see a ton of the Orioles, but I still watch highlights and stuff, watch quick pitch. And Mullins, yeah, I agree from the left side. He's coming up with some big hits, some home runs. But, yeah, I think when a guy realizes that he's trying a new quirk and maybe it's just not working, okay, why not abandon that and get me to what was going good for me, what got me here to playing all this baseball through Little League and amateur and high school and college. And sometimes you just have to do with the approach that got you there, and I think that's a good thing for Mullins.
Yep, and a team that really needs an everyday center fielder. They haven't had an everyday center fielder in a long, long while. So look for him to be able to go in there and fill that spot. At least up against right-handed pitching. So we'll see how he does against lefties. They're probably going to have to break him back in against lefties this year. But it's good to see a young guy. He's still 26 years old. Still has a long time to play in the big leagues if they really want, or if he really wants to. So again, I used to live outside of Baltimore. I could go from my driveway to Camden Yards in 20 minutes, and I can tell you right now, it was great to go up and watch those teams when they were back in the day. World Series win in the 80s, and all that kind of stuff. And they've fallen on hard times. Here recently, they haven't had a playoff team in a while, and I'm really hoping that they're able to put something back together, because Baltimore is a great baseball town. It's a great Oriole town, and there's nothing like going to to Camden Yards, because it's right there with the Inner Harbor in Baltimore. It's a great atmosphere for a game, and they just haven't had the teams to bring everybody out. And I'm rooting for them. I really am rooting for that team to come back. Excuse me. All right, so there's our super rookies, our super young players that we have in there. And I got just one more thing to talk about tonight, Joe, and it's kind of an odd thing. But in people's travels in baseball, they run across different characters. We've seen them working in the minor leagues. I don't know. I got to sit down one night and talk to a couple of scouts that were here from Japan that were scouting out AAA players, maybe the guys they could sign and bring over there. All kinds of different things happen when it comes to the world of baseball. And another one of those really odd quirks came up for me this week. I ran across a fella. Now, believe it or not, he is the chief scout and recruiter for the national baseball team of Poland. Now, I didn't know Poland had a national baseball team until I met this fella, and I met him online. We talked, and I vetted, checked him out and everything like that. And this guy is legit. He's looking for ball players that are of Polish descent that want to go over and play for the national team. And the experience he's talking about is incredible. I don't think a lot of people understand the international nature of baseball, because it's not just in the Caribbean or in Mexico or in the Asian countries. Korea got a big bump this year when everybody got to watch, the Korean Baseball League get going. And everybody's heard about, the league in Japan, their top league. But there's baseball in China, there's baseball in Australia, and there's baseball in Europe. And, I've known about the baseball in Europe for a while now, but I didn't, and even I didn't know that they had a team in Poland.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing when it comes down to it. And if you really check into it, the best league, regular league in Europe is probably Bundesliga baseball in Germany. They have one of the top grossing leagues, one of the top level leagues over there. But the Netherlands always has a good team. When it comes to the World Baseball Classic, the Netherlands is always in there. Because they can get the guys from Curacao and all that kind of stuff to play. As far as their nationalities and everything like that. And but also, Israel has a great program over there. They've got a couple of former minor league guys, and Ian Kinsler is playing for the Israeli national team now. And it's really fun to watch. But when you think about it, think about that experience now. Think about you're a college player. You don't have to be a great one either. You can be just a pretty good college player, but you don't have to go in and have dual citizenship or anything like that, because your national heritage. You can go over and play for the Polish national team, and they're playing a lot of tournaments and everything. In Europe, a lot of things are tournament style, whereas instead of having regular season leagues and everything like that. So you think about being able to see Europe and play baseball and just go out and you play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You play some intense baseball and tournament style, and then you're going to be traveling. You're going to be seeing a part of the world that you might not otherwise get to see. What an opportunity that would be. I know if it was me, if I had an SKI in the end of my name and I was a college player, I'd be talking to this guy wanting to go do it.
I think that's neat. That's a always need to expand the outreach of baseball past just the United States. You look at soccer, how much it's expanded the last 20 years. They're playing it all over. In baseball, you can really say the same about that. I'll tell you what I missed this year. That's the World Baseball Classic. I absolutely love that. And, I totally understand why they had to put it on the shelf this year due to the pandemic. It just wasn't going to work traveling all over the world to get this tournament in, but that's okay. I'll look forward to its return, and it's 2023, maybe 2024. We have to wait that long, but it's going to make it all worth it. No, I get serious about my WBC. Last time I was getting up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to watch those games because, hey, it's the World Cup of baseball, and you only get a chance to watch it every 4 years. So, of course, heck yeah, I'm going to get up and watch Chinese Taipei play the Netherlands or Israel play Korea. It's just great. And the fact that it takes place during spring training before the regular season starts for Major League Baseball, I think it's just a great kickoff to the season. And international baseball has expanded greatly from it and benefited. It's been awesome. So I totally like what you're thinking about the outreach, getting it out to Europe, getting it out to other parts of the world, because we need more people to like baseball right now, not less. I know the fan base in some spots, it's taken a hit due to the financial not restrictions, but just some of the issues that have gone on over the last year. And fans can think what they want, but we need to kind of grow this game again. So getting it out to Europe, I think that's a great start.
Absolutely. And when you think about it, the WBC, that's for professional players.
Mm-hmm.
That's for your major leaguers and your minor leaguers that are going to be going out there and representing their countries and be able to do that. We're talking about true international play with these. So you could have just college kids, going out there, or guys who maybe just left the minors and, are ready to hang it up, but still have the opportunity to go and do something like this. And you go from guy nobody knows, and then you go over and you could go over into Europe and not only play for a national team, but you can be a real ambassador of the game, really be an influencer. And, that fellow was talking to me about, the fact that he's got little kids running up to him in Europe who you think that there's people that are stars that are playing for these national teams. Because if you think about the nature of it over there, anybody who plays for a national team in any way is a celebrity over there. And it doesn't matter the sport. I'm a sports junkie, I'll admit it. And I'll watch all forms of sports. I was sitting there watching cricket the other night, on one of these things, and the score was like 129-2 or something. And that's how cricket goes, and to do things. But I'll watch that. But those people that play cricket, for a national team, they go back to their home countries, and they are just superstars. And it's amazing to watch. So somebody could have that opportunity here in the big league, or not necessarily the big league, but on the big stage in Europe, to be able to go do some of that. And it's a shame more players don't check that out, because that's a tremendous opportunity to not only, probably to reach a level of fandom that fame that people you would never get over here, but to be able to go in and experience it all and see places that you wouldn't see, and spread that baseball gospel. That's what I'm really looking for. A couple of baseball junkies like us, we love to hear stories like that.
Yeah, we do. I think what an opportunity that would be for these young college players coming up, because come to think of it, college baseball, it's not an exactly easy time for them right now. They lost basically their entire season last year. Most of them didn't get to play any conference games whatsoever, and a lot of them were able to return. The NCAA did a good job of kind of bending those eligibility rules, but still it's tough. And the little amount of college baseball I've gotten to see this year, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty competitive, and I think any opportunities for those kids right now, the better.
Yeah, and so somebody could take the opportunity instead of playing one of these college summer leagues that are around here, and then to do that, but to take the opportunity to go play in Europe, to go and do that. It would be something that would just, how many opportunities are you ever going to get, to do something like that? It's a once in a lifetime thing, and I really encourage anybody knows any players that would have any eligibility as far as being able to play for a Polish national team, please contact me here. Put it in the comments section. I can hook you up. You could talk to the fella. He's totally legit, and he's looking for guys that are hungry to play. So, but I'll be looking for different opportunities like that as we go, because I scout a lot. I look for a lot of players, and I run across, college coaches and players in my travels and stuff like that. So I'm gonna tell you, if you think you might have that opportunity out there, you're watching this and you're watching the replay or whatever, get a hold of me here. Get a message to me, because I'll do my best to hook you up and get you out there. It's it's a great opportunity, and anybody that like us that loves baseball loves to hear those kind of stories.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, that's it for us, man. We're rocking another year, another week of a hardball life, man. I'm getting ready to go with the Albuquerque Isotopes. They're going to be starting up here pretty soon. We're both going to be up to our elbows in minor league baseball and following Major League Baseball. More things to come next week, my friend.
For sure, yeah. And hey, as we about ready to sign off, Bryce Harper home run alert. That game's turning into a home run derby in Atlanta tonight. It's pretty fun to watch. It's going to make for some must-see late night Sunday night TV. It seems like.
Yeah, man. Isn't it just great? Isn't it great to have baseball back in
April?
Glory?
It's awesome.
Yeah, in its full glory. You got to love it. All right, that's going to be it for a Hardball Life this week. For my partner, Joe Traub, I'm Rich Daniels. We're going to be back next week on the All Sports All Play Network. Look for us again next Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, and we'll be doing it again. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Rich. And hey, here's to another great week. We're going to see some more fun stuff these next 7 days.
All right, we'll see everybody later.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the diamond in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so type the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.